prospects and what are the applications? Because everybody seems to be excited about it.
Yes, sir.
A lot of. So, as an expert in that, would you take us through the prospects?
Yes, sir. Sir, artificial intelligence, it refers to the process in which the machines, they can think rationally and logically just like a human being without being explicitly programmed for it. So it is taking
I
its...
will stop you. Sorry.
Yes,
Yes, I know it's very bad to stop your stream of thought, but then that's very interesting, the way you define it. Again, come again, what did you say about, you mean to say the machine will be able to think logically,
yes, sir.
rationally,
Yes,
without programming. My God.
Sir, I will rephrase it in a proper...
No.
Yes,
You're
sir.
right, absolutely.
Yes,
no need to feel apologetic about it at all. You're right.
Yes, sir.
And that's very interesting.
Yes, sir.
A machine will be able to
Yes, sir.
think logically,
Yes,
rationally,
sir.
without human intervention,
Yes, sir.
programming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If so, I'm deliberately asking to put it across to a layman.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
because this is very exciting.
Yes, sir.
How without programming or human intervention, machine can learn on its own,
Yes, sir.
not only learn but think on its own, rationally,
Yes, sir.
and you said some
Logically.
and logically. So logic is there, it is okay.
Yes.
Rationally.
Yes, sir.
Possibly emotionally also?
No, sir.
No.
Till now we have not developed.
Okay, so even with this, even without the emotional dimension,
Yes, sir.
how is it a machine? This is, in other words, in simple terms, how can a machine be intelligent? Let me ask it very, very simply and maybe stupidly to a scientist like you. How can a machine, because so far a layman is under the impression
Yes, sir.
that it is a human being, the sentient beings, they alone are capable of thinking, sensing, feeling. But suddenly we say, no, a machine, a lifeless thing. At least on that there is agreement.
Yes,
A
sir.
lifeless thing like machine,
Yes,
how can it think? Is it not an oxymoron, a contradiction in concept? Now, if you are able to explain it to a layman like me, then you would have succeeded in your, we can move on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So for a machine, what happens is we feed it with huge amount of data,
Okay.
and from that data, the machine is able to make out the pattern. It is able to make out the logic, and we have trained the machine on huge number of data, on training data, and from those data, the machine is able to deduce the logic, just like a human being.
Okay, but when we started off, perhaps, if I recollect correctly, you said without programming. When you said without programming, but
Yes,
you
sir.
meant, of course, the training will be there,
Yes,
but
sir.
you are probably distinguishing between training and programming. I don't know, because
Yes, sir.
I am an arts man, so I don't understand.
Yes, sir. So when I said without explicit programming, I meant that the programming is done for the training data.
Okay.
It is not done for the test data. For that, the machine learns from the model. There are different machine learning models. There are different deep learning.
Look, if you don't mind, that brings us down to the basic. How do we train a machine?
Yes,
In
sir.
simple words. We are coming down to the fundamental.
Yes, sir.
How do we train?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So there are different methods. Generally, we used supervised learning. One is unsupervised learning, and one is reinforcement learning. In supervised learning, what happens is it's just like a teacher. So we will train the data. We will give the label to the data, and as per that, the machine will try to make out the pattern. One is unsupervised learning, in which we are not providing a particular label to the data, but the machine by itself it tries to make out the pattern. The third one is reinforcement learning, which is based on rewards and punishment. So it's a continuous feedback process, and it tries to improvise based on our feedback.
Sorry, I'm asking a very simplistic question apologetically. But what is the power in this machine? Is it the electromagnetic field? I'm taking it to more fundamental levels of science, perhaps. I'm tempted to, because you are so good. So when we are saying that we are training it, we are teaching it, and it is picking up the lesson, the machine, so how is it empowered? Is it the electromagnetic field in nature?
So it is the processing power of the CPU which is helping it to understand.
That takes us to CPU.
Yes, sir.
CPU, central processing.
Central processing unit.
So what is it? How do you explain it? How does it function?
Sir, CPU is just like our brain. It's the very much core of a computer, and it has a very basic. It has memory. It has arithmetic and logical unit, which can do the very basic functionalities like addition, mathematics, and all those things.
Okay, we'll leave it there. So going forward, you think we have reached the limit of the artificial intelligence and its applications, or it is limitless and we have just begun? What is your take?
Sir, I believe we have just begun, and there are other things like cognitive computing, where it is predicted that we will move towards artificial emotional intelligence, where after a few years the machines can also have emotions. So I think we have just begun, and it has a long way to go.
One last question before we move on to other areas. Now, whether we talk about machine learning or artificial, incidentally, what it is, that chatbot or something?
ChatGPT.
Yes, is it an evolution of the artificial intelligence?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So ChatGPT has been very much different from the other language models till now. It is a generative AI, and it has been trained on a huge amount of text and data. And based on our input, it can very easily it can predict. It can even write essays and creative stories, poems. So it has been an evolution.
So Ayushi, isn't it? Ayushi, is it not going to impact the pedagogy, teaching, the student career? The teaching world, the academic world, is it not going to impact it almost in a revolutionary way?
Yes, sir.
Because your projects, your PhD thesis, everything is done in no time at all practically, isn't it? So it is going to alter the scenario very drastically. It's almost a revolution. So how are you going to face it?
Sir, I completely agree. It is going to impact the education sector in a big way. And to face it, first of all, many colleges, they have banned ChatGPT so that the students cannot do the homework using ChatGPT. And also there are different models where we can check the plagiarism if at all it has been copied. So we need to work on that. And third is we need proper regulation in the education sector, so that ChatGPT cannot be used by the students while doing the project or thesis.
By the way, what do you think of the new education policy we have adopted? And again, there is a lot of excitement about it. They say it's a paradigm shift. Is it? Is it?
Yes, sir. Sir, I do agree, because we have till now our education system was based on rote memorization. It lacked the creativity. But now our focus is shifting more towards creativity, vocational training. That has been a paradigm shift, because and also we are introducing new life skills. From class 6 we are talking about coding in Python. We are talking about giving vocational education. And the most important has been the early childhood care part, because the child brains, it learns the most in the initial days. So that has been a paradigm shift.
And Ayushi, we find from the biodata that you were in Delhi, you were associated with an NGO for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
6 months or so.
Yes, sir.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you have been working for the cause of the poor marginal children.
Yes, sir.
Tell us something about it.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually it was for the UPSC aspirant. There was an All India exam Sambhavan for the economically weaker sections, and the people who were selected from that initiative were given a free education, free training in the UPSC and mentorship. So I was assigned as the role of mentor for around, there were around 25 students, and every week I used to conduct a Google Meet session, so that I can understand their problems and whatever issues they are facing, and I can show them the correct path.
Now, anthropology is your option,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it? The study of anthropology, how does it benefit you as a prospective civil servant?
Yes, sir. Sir, anthropology has taught me many things.
Right.
Coming to the very core value, it is cultural relativism. That is, we have to understand the other cultures from their viewpoint. So that has made me more understanding towards others' culture and more empathetic also towards others. Second thing is the methodology of anthropology. It talks about participant observation, in which we have to be one among the people to understand their problems. So as a civil servant, I would be many times I have to solve people's problem, and I believe that I will be inculcating that core value in me. And third is it has given me a lot of idea about tribal development, about our village in our India and our Indian society. So that will give me a unique approach to solve the problems in my area.
Right now, India is chairing the G20 group. A lot of activities are there.
Yes, sir.
Foreign, finance ministers met recently,
Yes, sir.
though they could not reach a consensus. And foreign ministers also. So, why is it we are not able to reach a consensus on what? How did consensus elude us in the finance and also the foreign ministers? Why? What is the issue?
Sir, the main reason was there was lack of consensus between China and Russia were on one side, and the Western countries are on other side. And the most of the thing has been related to Russia-Ukraine war, because according to the perception of the war is different as per the Western countries and China and Russia. And for reaching consensus, as it has been stated that there are some issues which we cannot reach consensus. For that, the other issues should not be ignored. We need to reach consensus on issues like climate change and debt. So other issues needs to be reached at consensus, leaving the problems which cannot be solved right now.
Taking you a little back, even this contentious issue which is eluding consensus, what do you think of the Russian-Ukraine war? Your thoughts? Because obviously this is the one after pandemic and climate change. And this is a matter of concern for the international community and as a student of international history. So what are your thoughts?
Sir, my thought is that we should respect the territorial sovereignty of a nation. And at the same time, I believe that the international community, instead of escalating the war and instead of going for blame gaming and voting against the country, they should try to reach a solution. So that can be done by forming some committees and making sure that the concerns of Russia as well as Ukraine both are being addressed. That's my thought.
What are the concerns of Russia, by the way? What are the concerns that should be addressed?
Sir, first is regarding its security threat, the eastward expansion of NATO. So for that, a clear-cut agreement needs to be done. And second is Russia had expressed about the Minsk agreement and its dissatisfaction over Ukraine. So for that, in Minsk agreement, it was decided that the region of Donbass and Luhansk would be given autonomous status. So those things can be addressed.
Very good. And recently, when the foreign secretary or state, he was there, he was asked by the media, is there a backslide of democracy in India? And what is your response? So there is a concern. Is there a backsliding of democracy in India?
No, sir, I do not agree. The perception of democracy given by Western media, it is quite different than India. And we have been a vibrant democracy. And recently, the judgment of Supreme Court also, which mentions that ECI has to be appointed by committee. So that shows how vibrant our democracy is. Our Supreme Court is very much functional, and also we have a three-tier democracy, and our Panchayati Raj system has also evolved to a greater extent. The people, the Gram Sabha is very much active in many states, and they are doing wonders. So I believe we are a vibrant democracy.
Yeah, if you don't mind going a little back and forth, Ayushi, you had the privilege of working with the children, underprivileged children
Yes,
in
sir.
Delhi.
Yes.
That exposure,
Yes, sir.
what are the lessons or any insights that you could get when you were exposed to that area?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Sir, actually it was an online program where I had to
Okay,
interact.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But sir, I had also visited, once I had, when I was in Delhi, I visited one Bal Sanskar Shala.
Mhm.
So there the children, very small children from class 6 to class 12. So they were provided training and they were provided life lessons like meditation and Gayatri Mantra. So, so one lesson which I found is that life lessons and life value, that is very much important, and Diya NGO has been doing that. Not only education but value lessons.
Ayushi, again, then there is a one reservation or even a criticism that yes, India has made a lot of strides in economic sphere. Now we are the fourth largest or fifth largest economy in the world. There's a lot of
Yes, sir.
and then everybody comes. India is an exciting market, so people are making a beeline, and then India is increasingly being taken seriously as an economy. But at the same time, there is a perception that yes, we have made very impressive strides on various fronts, but our traditional sector, agriculture, the growth is very, very negligible, and then maybe all the gains we have made is at the expense of the agricultural sector. Would you agree, Ayushi?
Sir, I will agree slightly because agriculture, it is growing just at a growth rate of 3.3% around, and our employment is around 50% people are employed in agriculture, and its contribution as such is just around 16 to 17% of our GDP. So I completely agree, not completely but yes, to a larger extent, and for that we also need to, our government has been focusing on doubling the farmers' income, and we are in a recent budget also we have come up with agri accelerator fund so that we can promote agri startups. We are coming up with promoting horticulture and livestock sector. So I believe focusing on these sectors will help to improve the farmers' income and the contribution of agriculture as well.
Going back slightly in time, about during the pandemic period, there was a lot of agitation on the western front.
Yes,
The farmers,
yes,
they
sir.
blockaded.
Yes,
A lot of problem, law and order.
yes, sir.
A few people unfortunately died also.
Yes, sir.
The government brought forward-looking
Yes, sir.
legislation.
Yes,
They
sir.
wanted to change the status quo.
Yes,
They
sir.
wanted to reform, so to say. But unfortunately, as it happened, the lobby, farmers' lobby, they were not gay. So there was a lot of tension, a confrontation. Eventually, government gave in. Okay, we will not have it. So what are your thoughts about this?
Sir, I believe all the three legislations, they were very much forward looking, but the only problem was it was not consulted properly with all the stakeholders. So I believe there should be proper pre-legislative consultation before bringing in any change.
Okay, wonderful. Now, you find increasingly, Ayushi, when you look at the papers last 1 year or so, there is an increasing confrontation between the governor and the state government, whether it is West Bengal or Tamil Nadu recently.
Yes.
Tamil Nadu governor walked out before the national anthem. So there is an increasing confrontation, misunderstanding with Kerala also. Any number of instances. Particularly opposition ruled states, the constitutional office of governor is increasingly coming into,
Yes, sir.
whether they like it or not, there is a confrontation instead of cooperation. So constitutional office, the role and function of the governor, it is increasingly coming into scrutiny and question. So as a student of constitutional history and an aspirant civil servant, because you have to work with them. Because West Bengal, what happened was Chief Secretary did not come for the PM's meeting. So the civil servant, he has to face the brunt when the CM and PM or the governor and governor wants the Chief Secretary to go, DGP doesn't go. So you will have to face it. So what is the way out? How do you look? How do you look upon this? Ayushi?
Yes, sir, I believe we have to respect the constitutional positions and the offices. And as per that, a civil servant has to abide by that. A civil servant has to respect the values of the constitution instead of any person. So he or she has to abide by that rule.
But the question is, and the criticism is, after all, the Chief Minister and the state legislature, state government, they represent the will of the people. And in democracy, ultimately, it's the will of the people will prevail.
Yes,
And the
sir.
governor is a constitutional head only.
Yes, sir.
He has to abide by the aid and advice of the.
Yes.
He has no jurisdiction or powers to go beyond the
Yes, sir.
advice of the cabinet
Yes,
minister.
sir.
So even some people are asking, is there a need for a governor at all? So
Yes, sir.
what would be your thoughts?
Sir, I believe we are a federal country, and therefore the role of governor becomes important in that sense. And secondly, if we look at our constitution, article 163, it mentions that governor is bound in advice, but in some cases the governor can exercise his discretion. So we don't need to abolish it, but I do believe there needs to be some reforms in the governor's office. As Punchi Commission had also recently, mentioned that the removal of the governor should be done by a proper process of impeachment. And while appointing the governor, the opinion of the chief minister can be taken. So I think these reforms needs to be brought in instead of complete abolishment.
I was looking at Samaj paper today, Ayushi, and they say, and of course other papers are also carried it. Our Honorable Chief Minister has said, the empowerment of women
Yes.
is a reality.
Yes, sir.
A reality.
Yes, sir.
In some context, he was saying. So, would you say that the woman today, not necessarily in Odisha,
Yes, sir.
or if you want, you can come, you can, in the context of Odisha, you can say, do you think that the woman today, also as a student, as a scholar of anthropology and sociology, also, do you think that the Indian woman today, because of the progressive legislation and all other measures, Indian woman is today empowered in a very pronounced way, significant way. It is still a myth. It's only a projection. It's only a publicity. She is far from being empowered. She continues to be disempowered, shackled as before. What would be your thought?
Sir, I believe today the Indian women are empowered. They are digitally empowered, they are financially empowered, and different schemes like SHG, it is empowering the rural women. Now they are financially independent through SHG schemes. A lot of we can see women entering into STEM sectors also. Like last year, 40% of the recruitment were women in the IT sector. So women are empowering, but there are many issues. Like recently, Supreme Court had highlighted that number of cases of domestic violence, around more than 4 lakhs are pending. So a lot of issues are there, but we have progressed to a lot of extent.
One last question and then Professor will take over. What do you think of the recent controversy about the BBC broadcast and the Modi question, and also the Hindenburg report? Hindenburg is about.
Yes, sir.
There is one view that because India has made significant progress and it has come upon the world stage, a power to reckon with, suddenly the Western world is worried, and at this very, very delicate juncture, they are bringing up things just to derail or defame the regime and India in general. Would you agree there? Or what is your view?
Sir, I believe that if we talk about Hindenburg report, it was just about one company. So one company cannot derail India's image in the international arena.
Good.
And we have come up with SEBI, and Supreme Court had set up committee. So it shows that we are a transparent regime. And coming to the BBC, I believe that already our Honorable Prime Minister was completely acquitted by the CBI, and it has been a complete clean sheet. So bringing such case, it somehow shows the biased perception of Western media. And yes.
Sir.
Okay, AYUSHI, your native place is?
Sir, my home is in Khordha. Khandagiri, and I was born in Mayurbhanj because that's my maternal home.
I see. So can you tell something about what is the contribution of Odisha in our freedom struggle?
Yes.
In India's freedom struggle, what is the contribution of Odisha and Odishan leaders?
So coming to the first I could think of is the Paika rebellion of 1817, where Bakshi Jagbandhu and Jai Rajguru they had played a very significant role. Then if we talk of our leaders,
At that time there was a freedom struggle. We talk about sometimes that this is
Yes, sir.
the first meeting of
Yes, sir.
freedom struggle. But do you agree with this, that this is a real, at that time they were looking for freedom?
yes, sir, because it was an armed movement against the Britishers. Though it was not completely, the idea of national movement was not there, but it was a struggle against the colonialism.
Against the colonialism,
Yes.
not actually in true sense a freedom struggle.
So the idea of a nation as in India, that was not prominent at that point of
Yes,
time.
yes.
But the concerns of the people, like removal of the salt tax was suddenly imposed, and the people they were removed from their land grants.
Okay, okay. Subsequently, what happened? How Odisha performed in the Indian independence movements?
Yes, sir. So then Odisha has participated in non-cooperation movement. We have leaders like Gopabandhu Das, and also after that in CDM also civil disobedience movement, Odisha has participated actively. We had our leaders like our Honorable Biju Patnaik. He had played a key role during the Second World War. He had rescued the Indonesian Prime Minister. And we also have female freedom fighters like Sarla Das, Ramadevi Chaudhary. So they have also played a very key role.
But we need to focus on the activities, no? To some extent. By just telling the names is not going to give a complete picture of what the role played by these people.
Yes, sir.
How they could able to complement to the India's national movement. That is what is more important.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you are talking about Madhusudan Das or Gopabandhu Das or Ramadevi or Sarla Devi or any of the leaders,
Yes, sir.
you have to tell the incidences.
Incidences.
Who are these international leaders who moved to Odisha to motivate people, and who are those people participated in those national movements inside Odisha? So what are the causes of ignition of this freedom struggle in Odisha? Chori Chora incident,
Yes, sir.
and then Bhubaneswar incident.
I have to
So
read more.
yes, you have to focus on those things.
Yes.
Along with the name of the leaders, you have to put the incidences. Visit of Mahatma Gandhi and other people.
Yes, I have to read on Odisha's freedom struggle.
Yes. So these are some of the important things. Don't try to miss it. It may be one of your questions definitely. Since you are from Odisha, there are chances. Okay. There was your name is AYUSHI, no?
Yes.
There was an incident called AYUSHI incident that has happened something in Bihar. You know that? What is the AYUSHI incident?
I am not heard about Ayushi.
There was a murder case of
It
a
is Arushi.
girl, yes.
It is Ayushi.
Arushi and your Ayushi. They are closely same. So chances of not exactly a right kind of question, but somebody may be out of curiosity may ask you to. So what is that incident? What is the case and how things happened there? So
Yes.
this is another important thing. Out of curiosity also some people sometimes may ask. Okay. And then third and the most important thing is, at the moment, India is struggling to spearhead the COP movement. Do you understand what is this COP? Cooperation of Parties.
Yes, sir.
And the most recent one was at Egypt, in Egypt, COP 27. So what was the outcome of this COP 27? Taking into account the COP 50 where Modi participated and spearheaded some of the agendas of cutting down the greenhouse gases emissions,
Yes, sir.
and how things have moved to COP 27 and where we stand now.
Yes, sir. Sir, the most significant outcome in COP27 was the loss and damage fund, which has been talked about. So it has talked about climate finance, how the developed countries, they will provide complete finance to the developing countries, and but a clear framework is still missing. Though they have mentioned that loss and damage will be established, but how exactly, how the funds will be transformed, and lack of accountability, because despite in past also the developed countries had promised $100 billion, but that was not done. So a clear framework and roadmap is still missing.
Okay. But what about its energy emission cut downs? The 5% cut down of all the
Yes, sir.
energy emissions.
Yes.
That was the consensus in 2015.
Yes, sir.
What is the status of that?
Sir, many countries have promised net zero by 2050, and India particularly has promised net zero by 2070.
And what is that mission India is leading towards this?
We have come up with lifestyle for environment movement. We are focusing on bringing behavioral changes to cut down the emissions. And India has also given a Panchprit principles, and we have come up with clear-cut targets for renewable energy.
And also we have taken
Green
up
hydrogen mission and other things.
Green Hydrogen Mission, and
Yes,
then Solar Alliance,
Yes,
International Solar Alliance.
yes.
That is one of the spearheading programs of energy, the reduction in the energy emission. Okay. Since the formation of Quad, there has been a lot of conflicts are coming up. How do you look at this? Is it feasible that Quad can function to an extent in which they have been formed? Do you understand what is Quad?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who are those countries who have joined together? What is the mission?
India, USA, Japan and Australia. So the main aim is a free and open Indo-Pacific, and it is not only about free and open Indo-Pacific, but also they are collaborating on technical transfer on climate change. So I do believe that that Quad can act as a collaborator where technological transforms and the maritime security, all those things can be looked.
But it has ignited the situation more than cooling down the whole incident.
Sorry, sir.
It has ignited the conflict to a larger extent than what it was presumed. And China is now vehemently opposing to this and not obeying this.
Yes, sir. Sir, China has mentioned Quad as Asian NATO, but I do not agree
Yes.
with China's viewpoint, because Quad does not has any purpose of militarization, or it does not purposefully targets China or any such thing. The only purpose of China is to ensure a rule-based international order, a rule-based Indo-Pacific, and also to collaborate on issues like climate change, technical development.
So then why China is not supporting to this? What is the interest of China that goes against with the Quad?
China sees the grouping as a way to target China, because China has been increasing its footfalls in the Indo-Pacific from different maritime bases to submarines. So and China believes that forming such organizations will go against China's maritime interest and economic interest also in the Indo-Pacific.
China's hegemony over this Southeast Pacific, the Pacific Ocean, is
Yes, sir.
going to be jeopardized
Yes,
by
sir.
the presence
Yes,
of
sir.
these forces.
Yes, sir.
So he cannot play as an independent
Yes, sir.
player. He has to compromise with this,
Yes, sir.
which he didn't want. Okay. So you have been involved with the millet mission activities.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what this millet mission activity at the moment and why we are promoting this millet mission?
Yes, sir.
What is the reason behind?
Yes, sir.
All of a sudden there is a boom in the millet mission activities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we are promoting millets. So the main reason is we are now focusing on nutritional security, and millets are a rich powerhouse of vitamins and minerals and calcium, magnesium. Second is because of its role in climate change. The greenhouse emission of rice and wheat, that is huge, but millets they can grow in drought condition also, and the CO2 emission is also less. And also there are reports that sometimes millet can act as a carbon sink also. So therefore there has been a growing impetus for our planet and for our health.
And one more point also you should not miss. Water requirement is much
Yes, sir,
less.
water requirement.
That is what we are going to
Yes.
face with the climate change.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So this can withstand the drought
sir. Drought
situations.
situation. Yes, sir.
So desertification process which is moving fast to counter this
Yes, sir.
and to mitigate this problem has been considered as one of the
One of
sphere
the-
programs. Okay. So what are the recent economic reforms India has adopted?
Sir,
Economic reforms.
Yes, sir. Sir, recent economic reforms, India has been focusing on strategic disinvestment, where leaving just few sectors like atomic energy and railways, banking, we are going on privatization. We are focusing on increasing our capital expenditure. 33% increase has been done, and 10 lakh crores has been allocated. We are focusing more on our infrastructure. For that, we have come up with PM Gati Shakti, National Infrastructure Pipeline, National Monetization Pipeline. And others, we are also coming to banking reforms like setting up National Financial Credit Registry, which will be a kind of a database where all the information, financial information will be available. And we are also moving towards digital economy. So we are focusing on creation of public digital goods from India Stack to UPI.
Okay. So are you aware of that Odisha has been awarded 2-3 times from United Nations organization for one of the states with best management strategy in disaster risk reductions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you understood what is the secret behind this, or what are the ways in which Odisha could be able to achieve all this, and how Odisha can stand differently from other states?
Yes, sir.
Being a part of Odisha, I think, what is your reading about this?
Yes, sir. Sir, when we talk of Odisha Disaster Response Force, that has been very strong, which is not so much strong in other states. And secondly, Odisha has worked a lot on its infrastructure. We are having early warning centers. We have more than more than 400 cyclone shelters are present in Odisha. So that has Odisha has been focusing on a zero casualty approach. And the most unique point of Odisha disaster is community-based disaster management, where from the Gram Panchayat level, the disaster plan is being done, resource allocation is done, and people are being trained like how they will be responding to the disaster in 5 to 7 minutes, how the volunteers will help the old age people and the vulnerable people.
But whatever you are telling, just whatever you are telling, they are all the programs a part of the disaster management activities, and all states are following this. Not that Odisha is only following.
Yes, sir.
But still then other states are not faring well, but Odisha is fared well. So what is the difference? That is more important. Programs are all right, what is your understanding is correct, there is nothing wrong in it. But how Odisha stands different? Zero casualty is the approach that from the Sendai framework all states are following.
Yes, sir.
Infrastructure building up, that is also there.
Yes, sir.
Critical infrastructure needs to be
Yes, sir.
sensitive and needs to be disaster proof, all critical 5 infrastructures. So those things are there. So but then how Odisha is performing, and disaster rapid action force, every state is having that. It's not that only Odisha is having.
Yes,
So then what made different?
sir.
Some insight into this.
I believe the implementation part, though we have other states are not following it properly, the implementation part, Odisha has worked on that. The administration has focused specifically to tackle disaster, to mitigate it.
Something you have to come over along with all these answers.
Yes,
There
sir,
may
I
be
will.
1 or 2 points you may be adding to that is there is a dynamic governance system to move this mechanism.
So like the 5 Ts, this mechanism.
That is also part of that. But there is a dynamism in governance and taking down the power from the state to the grassroots level, just
Community.
like as it happened with the COVID. So there is a complete network of shelters which is acting as a preventive, acting as a proactive disaster prevention activity, multi-purpose shelters. So addressing to the issues together. We are addressing to this because we are facing cyclone, we are facing flood together.
Yes.
And they are the 2 most important. And then few more things which are also gradually I am going to add to this is climate change related issues of the coastal zone. So these 2 issues are addressed together. So that's why our multipurpose shelters are functioning well, and we have put more emphasis on evacuation so that people are taken to safety at the time of disaster. So we are putting, so governance is working very fast. So that is the actually secret to the success. Okay. I think, sir, it's all right.
Yes, Ayushi, and now you can ask us any questions. You have any questions to ask of us?
Yes, sir. So one, I have to know that how can illegal mining be curtailed, because that is one of the issue Mayurbhanj and especially Odisha is facing.
Illegal mining.
Mining?
Illegal mining can be
Sand mining or
how to tackle it?
yes.
Sir, I think.
Achha, now there is, actually I wanted to forget something. Now geospatial technology has been widely used
Yes, sir.
to target these lease areas.
Yes, sir.
So previously what happened, the area given as lease were based on the cadastral maps of the village level. And identification of those cadastral map identified areas in the field becomes very difficult to validate. So there has been a lot of mismatch between the lease area given to the people and actually over the area, lease area where people have worked on it for mining. So this has created a lot of problem. So now we have put geospatial technology to exactly locate the areas which are supposed to be given with the lease. So there is clear-cut demarcation based on the satellite images and satellite information. So there is no difference between what you are being given and what you have been doing. So absolute validation, 100% validation is possible. So by this actually we are now regulating the entire mining activity. So there has been a lot of reduction in the mining wastage and mining pilferage and mining theft or whatever you may call it. All those things have been controlled to a large extent because of this. Previously it was not knowing. Somebody will say that this is my area here, but the actual lease is not been given here, actual lease is given here. So that demarcation was a crisis in the past based on surveys, land surveys. But now there is absolutely geospatial technology, role of remote sensing, role of GIS, role of
RFID
GPS.
tag also we are using. RFID tag like.
That is also there.
Yes, sir. For
So
transit
these are now solving these land alienation issues, not only at that level, at various levels also.
But still, sir, nexus is there because recently Bhubaneswar.
Nexus is a different problem. Nexus is a different problem that is to be addressed by some other activities. But the basic differences between the leaseholder and the lease giver, that difference is now sorted out. So now any criminalization activity or any kind of other activities can be scrutinized very well. And that's how lease cancellation has been done for many mining people, and accordingly things are going a little more transparent.
So then issues like mob lynching and others. Mob lynching.
Okay.
So how do we handle such issues?
Why do you have these particular questions you are asking about?
So because I could not come up with a solution proper for mob
These questions
lynching.
were asked last time?
No, is it last time it was asked?
Yes, sir. Like recently mob lynching incident has been there, cow vigilantism.
Yes, no, like Professor rightly said,
Yes, sir.
any samasya, any issue, any problem, you have to break it down into the components. One is identifying the areas. When you said nexus, that is the implementation, execution, law and order, part of the governance overall. So that will take you into the areas of governance. When you said the nexus, what do you mean by nexus? What do you mean by nexus? Tell us, what do you mean by?
So there is a complete nexus of politicians and.
Yeah, that is taking us, that is drawing us into the quagmire of governance issue, good governance, wherein corruption, a lot of things will
Yes,
come.
sir.
And that's a big area, that's a very vast area.
Vast area.
And as a prospective civil servant,
Yes,
as a DM,
Yes, sir.
secretary,
Yes, sir.
and today the civil servants or the ministers are also incidentally. So that will take you into the generality of governance and various aspects will be there. So don't get confused there or lose focus there. Visually, professor was asking about how science and technology and identify the area. That is the identifying it, and then carrying out.
So any problem it will be like solving will be
Yes,
lot.
yes, because I'm a little surprised because you are such a brilliant if you don't know. Believe me. So probably because you don't be put off by anything.
Yes.
So break it down into
Break
what
it
is the
down.
problem. What are the components? And each component has to be addressed in the particular area, jurisdiction. Because it's a vast area, we cannot take a corruption is today. Even the last Congress session in the Raipur session, for the first time Congress said, okay, let us have funds, state funding. All said and done, in the ultimate analysis, we are talking about the nexus, corruption, Delhi Deputy Chief Minister. Corruption, even today, if you take a papers, mining Deputy Director 1 crore cash, another 8 crore cash. So that is there. There's a lot of money, mining or excise. All this is because we are perhaps a hypocritical nation. You may not say that, but we have to take it up front. You see, you are a collector, you have a bungalow, you have a steady salary, pension. But if you are a politician, no. The election means funds. So who will fund it? So we have to take it up front. There is no dearth of funds. Let us provide it in the budget.
Yes.
So like that, the larger issues.
Criminalization of politics and election funding also.
Oh,
That is
yes.
also
No, these are all very interesting area, but
Yes.
these are all larger issues. I'm sure you have, because eventually it becomes governance. We are a soft state, or we are a soft state. For instance, Singapore recently, even if you carry a drug beyond the threshold, the quantity, you are executed. There's a lot of controversy. But we are always spoken of as a soft state. Corruption in China, they ask you to stand in line and then they shoot you dead. Lot of things. It's a very, very interesting thought. What I'm saying, Ayushi, with your background, you're an essay competitor, merit student, and you have exposure, apply your mind. Because you're asking only one question, because UPSC they can ask you.
Yes.
And then you have done extremely well, 180. So don't worry about this.
What are the other question? Second question.
Only about, I just had, and also there are some issues like sometimes the crowd.
Now you are asking for another
Second
question.
question.
Second question you are asking.
I was asking about mob lynching and cow vigilantism.
Mob lynching, okay.
Yes.
Mob lynching, these are all
Because we
very-
don't have any particular law and the mobs they are escaping. Particular law targeting.
No, that means probably you are worried about the law and order and penal law, criminal procedure. Probably here, nothing to be frightened by this. In fact, British have ruled it. We have the IPC, which was framed in the British time. Most of the laws, they have stood us in good stead. If you take IPC, there are 500 sections. It's not one special legislation. Why do you say mob lynching is not a problem? What is mob lynching? That means instead of one man killing another, 50 people or 500 people joining together and killing. What's the problem?
So 500 people are never convicted. They say mob has no face.
As DM, as tomorrow as DM, don't be frightened by these things. Because again, the modern, because all these days it's all everything camera. You have evidence. Capture the evidence. Simultaneous electronic evidence. Prosecute all of it. That is where, and that is taking us to the problem of this executive. Your part, you are going to be execute. The laws are there, very fine-grained, elaborate. There is plenty of law.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to implementing the law, executing it, the policy and programs, the law, it's all executive. You are going to be topmost executive. That is where you are called upon, your individuality. How meticulous you are, how committed you are, how uncompromising you are. There is no time. So don't be frightened. It appears you are worried about it. Mob lynching, they are not legal terms. A group of people joining together, conspiring together and committing crime, that's all. You find it within the four corners of IPC.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we stop here. So regarding your interview, nothing to worry, but only observation, Professor will also give. My observation is, you look a little weary, tired.
Yes, sir.
Probably my hunch is you're carrying that yes, last time and then it did not rectify. That is somewhere in the back of your mind, in the back of your psyche, pulling it down. Dabijayishale. That make an effort consciously, make an effort and remove that and enter the board this time as though you are very fresh and energetic. Not carrying the backlog of the memory. Remove that memory. That is first important. And secondly, what is the dress last time you wore to the UPSC?
Sir, I wore sari.
Because you were looking very,
Yes, sir.
very slender.
Yes, sir.
Because you have to give the gravitas of
Yes,
a
sir.
future Home Minister also. Now in Modi's cabinet, Honorable Prime Minister's cabinet, you find a number of civil servants, whether it is Foreign Minister, 77 UPSC, your Energy Minister, so many
Yes, sir.
civil servants, with proven record, they have been taken into the cabinet.
Yes,
So
sir.
you have to be there. The gravitas, the Finance Minister,
Yes, sir.
Science and Technology Minister. So when you go there, you have to be pleasant, energetic, and also impress them in their mind's vision. Yes, Ayusha has the gravitas of Finance Minister.
Are you feeling little serious or little
No,
nervous?
sir, actually
Or?
my health is not that good today, so.
Okay.
And so we look at you in a different note. That is what we are feeling. That you feel either serious or maybe because of your health, maybe you are a little concerned. But that should not dampen your spirit in the interview.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely.
It can happen anytime. Health can happen anytime. But interview date will not shift for you.
Yeah.
So you have to cool and compose and remain.
I think, sir, 180 is one of the top performances, isn't it?
Yes.
It is
Very
70%,
good.
is it?
No, sir, 70% will be.
180 out of 300.
90 plus will be 70.
It is almost, it's 65 plus.
Yeah, yes.
But it's a good, 180 is a good.
It is, sir. So, point is, it should be more. It should not be less. At any rate, it should not be less.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you enter the UPC this time, you will have all the energy and enthusiasm which will infuse the board. You see, for instance, I am very old. When you enter, you should be able to radiate, suffuse, infuse your energy and enthusiasm to the older people. And maybe we do not know whether you are the second candidate or fourth candidate. There is a lot of ennui, tiredness, where you should wake them up.
Could you realize what is your weakness? We have assessed all your strength, but you need to realize what is your weakness so that it needs to be covered. What is your feeling?
Sir, today I was less energetic.
That is not the weakness. That can be covered up. Okay.
Sir, I'm not able to make it out.
Not making. So what is happening? When we are asking you questions, you could able to give a very first-hand answer, very good. It starts with a very good answer, but while ending towards the answer, it goes cut short. You don't drag it to the ultimate. Means the vision of the answer is missing. You are starting with a very good note with the question. Question was put to you, you start with a very good note. So that very good has to escalate towards the end, but it is coming down slowly. And your spirit is also coming down along with the answer. So that should not happen. Even if you do not know, doesn't matter. You started with the note, go with the note also. So that board will feel your confidence level is high.
You are very good.
She has good contents, no? She has good contents. There is nothing, no problem with her
Because
contents.
before you enter, when we look up your biodata, we become excited. There is a computer and then merit scholar, 90 plus, consistently 3 years merit scholar, essay competition. We didn't have time, otherwise I would have gone into that. And then exposure. So an outstanding academic exposure. You raise the expectation of the board even before you enter because your credentials are outstanding. Let me put it this way. And you proved it also, 180 last time you have this. But this time, when you enter, as I said, a little sad, preoccupied, a little diffident, not very sure, not asserting yourself. All these things will become leadership. And you said, yes, you are leading in a team also. So you are a leader. All this is a proven record. You are a leader, you are not a bookworm, and then you go, empathy for the people, all those things. And some of your answers are very brilliant. The national, international level. But as Sir put it, he about this, how come Odisha among all other states, Odisha is supposed to be a backward state, how come we have come in for international attention and recognition? Then he said, yes, we have the infrastructure in place, the processes in place. Hey, it's all fine. But the punchy, because there is a time, it is a chief minister, there is zero tolerance, yes, everything network, and chief minister himself is sitting in the control room of monitoring, then that dynamism, he used the word dynamism. It's a commitment. When the CM himself is looking there, monitoring it and the secretary itself becomes a control room. No question. The entire executive deployed there and then preempting. Not only this multi-purpose settlement, then you are proactive and you are ahead of the storm, you are ahead of the cyclone, you are ahead of the floods. So you are there and down to the grassroots level, the entire network. Then you are there, you take charge. Then you evacuate them. That means you are one step ahead before the cyclone strikes. Sometimes the cyclone doesn't even come, then the vulnerable sections are already in the shelter. We are ahead of the storm. So that is the punch he was expecting there. You get a point?
Yes, sir, got it.
You will do well. This time we want you to be in the top. Acha, written how much you fell? What the shortage of
Sir, I fell by 13, 1-3.
1-3 only. So you have done well in all the compulsory papers and the optionals, anthropology and all? Better?
Sir, I just had 3 months. I don't know in 3 months how much I could have improved.
No, but for international questions it's all right. For Odisha, at least you prepare 4 questions.
Yes, sir.
Very important for you.
Yes.
One question I put you, that one.
Right.
Odisha's contribution in India's freedom struggle and the Indian independent movement.
Yes, sir.
So freedom struggle and independent movement, try to differentiate between these two a little bit, and you have to answer accordingly.
Yes, sir.
That is why I told you, the difference between the Sipai mutiny and the independent movement. So there is a little bit of difference in the approach. And then second one is Odisha's mineral resources not giving a boost to the Odisha's economy. That is the legacy Odisha has carried now, which is trying to make up. Then maybe something, some questions may likely to be there. Then some of the primitive tribes of Odisha, we had 13 primitive tribes.
Yes, sir.
Try to have something on their specific programs. Okay. And then the issue of this Western Odisha's
Western
labor
capital.
movement, labor migration movement and aspirational districts.
Yes, sir.
So those 3-4 questions from Odisha, at least 1 or 2 we will be definitely be getting. They will be inquisitive to know from you. They may not be knowing, but rather you will give them the answer. But they will be asking you, likely to. Okay, sir.
So I want to say something. Regarding your, sorry sir, I'll just take 1 minute. Regarding your questions, that is, what is this mob lynching, sand mafia, that seems to be an area. Don't worry about that. When is your interview?
15th March.
15th March, 10 days
10
left.
days left.
Otherwise you are free?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
You take any paper for instance. Which is the English paper you read? You read it online or
Online.
online? Okay, Hindu or any letter.
Hindu, Indian Express.
Indian Express and Oriya.
Yes, sir.
You take this. For instance, today they have shown 1 crore rupees seized from a mining area, etc., etc. Read everything. Yesterday, for instance, the United States cyber security crime, cyber security. Read the fine print. Spend in every paper, take it, whether national, international, economy, geography, down to earth, Miller problem of farmer, and then reflect upon it. And then you yourself ask the question and frame a question. Don't be frightened by mob lynching, etc., etc. Reduce it to the concept. Fact, sometimes factually may not know, but concept, ready for a discussion, and if necessary, a debate. And you're a wonderful debater. When I asked questions, lot of questions, I was satisfied they are all very good answers, international, national level also. But professors and sometimes the granular level. And when factually, in spite of your 10 days, factually you do not know, don't do it. It's not a problem. But the concept behind it, the discussion, the argument, don't fight shy of an argument. Politely, taking it forward, essay type of thing. So that is where, in other words, your scholarship, your depth of scholarship, your insights, that you are able to think independently and critically, and as a civil servant you are going to have a lot of sympathy. Yes, you will be a very brilliant student, but you have no sympathy and empathy, emotional intelligence. All those things are there. So in the given time, 20 minutes time, you will have to project the positives of it. You will do well, Aisha. We hope to see you in the top
Okay.
10. All of it.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. And then keep smiling. This is you are smiling only at the end of it when you are leaving. Keep smiling. Keep
And don't feel shy to share your emotions and feelings in certain questions. Whenever it is required, don't feel shy. Because there are certain questions where there is no answer, definite answer, where you have to share your feelings and thoughts. And don't feel shy on that.
The focus is your personality, not our. We are there in the background. Just these questions are only to elicit, draw out your personality. And as sir rightly said, bring forward and don't fight shy. Help them, and then at the you should be proactive and project the positives of your personality. And you are a wonderful personality. All the best, Aisha. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Well.